leave. Like, let me try and fix it. Instead of actually trying to fix it, I was just like, yo, I'm gonna try to fix it. Instead of actually trying to fix it. So, yeah, that's kind of what happened. And that actually depresses me even more when I think about it. It's like, because I actually really gave like a crap. Like, I really cared. So now it depresses me a little bit more that somebody who genuinely cared for me, I pushed them away. I had a friend tell me years ago, she was like, I don't ever want you to get into a relationship ever again until you fix yourself. This was like 10 years ago. And I haven't started to fix myself up until last year, which kind of sucks because every relationship that I've been in was one of those weird, like, me being toxic and just, because I haven't healed from past hurts. Like, I ain't got no parents. I don't got no mom and dad, and I spent all my life, like from 9 to 21, and like juvie, group homes, like foster care, like all of that. So like that was all I knew, right? So I never tried to fix myself. After getting out, I stopped my medication. I was like, I ain't doing this no more. And instead of like weaning myself off and finding a better outlet, I just was like, I'm not taking this medicine no more. It's turning me into a zombie. But I didn't find any other outlets to try to like help with that. I didn't. But now, well, not anymore, but up until last year, I started to see a therapist, a holistic healer, in the city. It was actually two black women. I was going to see them. My pockets was being taxed a little bit, so I had to like take a step back. But now I'm just trying to find other ways to deal with. Yeah, I've got so much anger. I've got so much like depression and anxiety, and it's something that I've been working on for like so long. And I do have a lot of like me being a black woman, me being like a gay black woman, sometimes I feel like a lot of people wouldn't understand me, like a lot of different therapists. Like I seen a woman before, but she wasn't a black woman. And I'm like, most of my struggles are because I am a black woman. And some of the things that we have to deal with as black people. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. Poetry-wise, I wrote this piece, but I can't remember it. I'm gonna try.
You write it down?
I wrote it down, but I left the book on my bed when I was rushing out the crib. So I left the book. Actually, it might be in my cellular device. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's called Victim or Villain. So if you don't want to sing the song until I pull it up, no, I'm just kidding.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, for sure.
So how you practice self-care right now? Like what does that look like to you right now?
Right now, sleeping and working, which might not be the best, but for me, my job is my life, it's my career. I genuinely love to do what I do. I'm a chef. So I like going to work. Sometimes I can overwork myself a bit. Sometimes I can work more than I'm supposed to. And I spend more time working as opposed to handling or dealing with my emotions. Like last week, there was a point where I was going to jump, right? So I was there. I was ready to just end it all. So I decided to like throw myself into my work. So I work from 5 in the morning to midnight, 5 days a week, which is not the best, but that's what I do sometimes. So I don't really know if that's self-care, if that's self-sabotage. I don't know.
I mean, do you feel like it's working for you? Like, because everybody's an individual on their own journey, so it's not no right or wrong answer. It's just more so like, is that something that's allowing you to release or heal or to, actually feel as though that is helping?
Sometimes. I mean, I feel like sometimes, depending on, because I have 2 jobs, so depending on what job I go to, I feel like it's helping. Like during the day, I'm like, you know how you like get up and you're like, oh crap, I gotta go to this job, I gotta deal with these people, like.
Do I have any more days off?
Yo, right, and I'm like contemplating using my vacation time, like my sick time and all that. Start making up deaths in the family to get my vacation. Yo.
Don't be wishing death on nobody real, because then it'll be somebody real.
No. That's I don't even do that. It's crazy. I don't even do that because my grandma actually died 2 weeks ago, and I think that's what kind of like pushed me into like.
Condolences.
Thank you, I appreciate that. That's kind of what actually like pushed me into my like weird like depressive state. It was like I was supposed to spend some time with her on Christmas, and I didn't get around to it because I was like, yo, it's too cold. Like I'm about to just go home. I was like probably like 5 minutes away from the crib, but I'm like, I'm gonna just wait for this Uber and go in the house and not go see her until next week. And then next week never came, and then she ended up passing away. So that kind of pushed me into that. But sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. Writing helps, but when I'm depressed, sometimes I have like writer's block. haven't written anything in forever. So yeah, it's been a minute.
Well, to speak to what you said about throwing yourself into work, there are such things as healthy distractions, you know, and distracting yourself from something that you should be addressing sometimes is appropriate. Like sometimes you're not ready to address it. So I know that losing your grandma, I did as well, not being able to see her for those last moments, it will sit with you. And you'll continuously add more regret, more resentment, more to your plate, you know, and that's not something that your grandma would want for you.
Right.
So this is the time to maybe take a step back and reflect on what it is that you have to, you know, really sit with. And it's not her fault that you didn't come,
Yeah.
right? And that's hard stuff. It's hard to deal with, and I think that a lot of the things that we have to deal with, it's about balance, whether or not we're going to prioritize our mental health or what it is that we have to do. We have to go to work. We
Yeah.
have to pay bills, you
Yeah.
know. But people are not something we have to do sometimes. And
Can I say something about the healthy distraction? I feel like a distraction in general, I don't think, me personally, I don't think that it's a healthy distraction because I feel like once the distraction is gone, you'll be back in that space again. I feel like a distraction is only limited to that amount of time that you're distracted by using that tangible person, place, or thing right now. So when that now is no more, valuable to you and your, whatever mental health or whatever situation you're going through at that time, you're gonna be put back into that space.
Mhm.
So if anything, I would say instead of trying to find a distraction, I would encourage you or, advise you to try to find a solution to that problem. And of course, it's not gonna happen in 24 hours. Sometimes it may take you 365, you know what I'm saying? But the core purpose of what you're going through is to me, I would say personally, is to find a way to revive yourself through that. You know what I'm saying? To get yourself through it instead of trying to distract yourself.
I definitely agree with you. I think though it's important to find the balance, because when you're about to jump and you have to find a solution, I'm not thinking on the edge of the bridge, yeah, how am I going to get over the fact that I did not get a chance to talk to my grandma before she passed? Like, how am I going to make amends with myself right now because I'm too angry to even talk to my best friend who I haven't talked to in years? You know what I mean? Like, you have to know when is the appropriate time for you to make a solution for yourself. Because sometimes when the blade is there, when the gun is there, when the drink is there, when smoke is there, like
That's all
sometimes,
that really is there.
right. And sometimes that makes you be there too, because sometimes you're not there. Like sometimes smoking a cigarette or drinking a drink will make you feel like, all right, I'm present.
It's interesting because I was talking to my sister made a joke last Sunday. We were all having dinner. My sister was like, "Yeah, yo, 'cause you crazy, yo." And I don't really like to be called crazy because I'm genuinely not crazy.
Can I ask you a
she's
question?
Yeah.
The sister that say that, right? What's her personality like? No, real rap.
No, I was gonna say that.
Because I know some people that are crazy are the ones that's quick to call out that we crazy.
Yeah, she.
No, I'm like, no, I'm just verbally crazy. You non-verbally crazy. I'm just more of an extrovert with my crazy. You tend to soak it in. I'm just curious.
She's
No, I'm
She's an interesting person, and it took us a long time to get to a bond where
Thank you,
I even call her my sister because I'd be like, oh, yo, the shorty around the corner, they got the same mom as me. So it took me a while to like,
Shorty around the corner that got the same.
cause we live like walking distance, like we live like 10 minutes away from each other, like on a bus or 5 minutes walking. But like, with that being said, it's like when she made a joke and she was calling me crazy, and we were talking about an incident that happened. The incident was 2015 or 14. I was like mad depressed, and I was gonna kill myself, and I didn't want to be all like super dramatic. I just drank like a bottle and a half of NyQuil. I was like, yo, I'm out. But I wrote her a letter like, yeah, I love you, but I gotta dip. Like, this is not for me. Like, I just wasn't feeling it. So I left one for her and my niece. My niece and I are the same age. And, so they called the cops. And the cops, you know, they came and, you know, kicked the door down and everything. And when I actually realized that I ain't died, I was mad. I was like angry. I was like, what, y'all called the cops and I'm still alive. So we had a conversation about like that, and they were like kind of poking fun at the fact that I was trying to like off myself. And I was like, you don't even understand what you in particular were putting me through at the time when I wanted to just dip. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't like my friends. She didn't like my choices. She didn't like the fact that I cared way too much about black people. She didn't like the fact that I was in a band. Like, nothing that I did was good enough for her. She used to tell me, yo, like, my job is way more important than you. So, no, I can't help you with that because I gotta work. Like, she would tell me all the time, yo, my job is more important than you. She would say that to me, like, when I was in high school. I was failing 12th grade, and she was like, yo, I can't help you, yo. My job is more important. So, like, she didn't even understand what I was going through at the time when I was, like, trying to leave or whatever. Like, so that kind of, like, bothered me a bit. Yeah. I'm not crazy, by the way. Not crazy.
And one thing that I'm learning too, you know, going through my own personal anxiety experiences, my own personal panic attacks and stuff. Yo, so like, after my last anxiety attack, the one thing that I wanted to do was to find, you know, that outlet, to find someone to just physically express myself to, you know, to talk to, whatever it may be. And as I was trying to, you know, find that, you know what I mean, I realized that everyone has their own problems. So as I'm like, yo, let me tell you how but let me tell you, I'm like, damn, I need to get my shit on first. You know what I'm saying? So, like, as we're going through these things, especially, you know, us in our mid-20s, early 30s, it's like, we have to find a way how we can tap into the inner selves, you know what I'm saying, our energy for real, because that, you know, that looking externally for things is not necessarily going to be something that's going to come to you. The internal is what's going to be able to check you first. And I know that that can be hard, especially when you're dealing with shit internally, you know what I'm saying? But we have to learn how to look inward to you know, to get that I wouldn't necessarily say escape, but to get that peace that we're looking for at that time, because, you know, keep trying to reach out sometimes, that's when we're getting our feelings hurt even more, because we're getting turned down, or that listening ear becomes a talking mouth. I'm like, bro, I just want to talk real quick. Now you telling me something I already knew. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, I think those are also things that we need to look into when it comes to our mental health, is looking internally or just looking inward to ourselves. Welcome, by the way. Hello, how are you?
But what if, like, you're looking internally into yourselves and you don't see nothing that you are happy with, or something that, like, you don't find nothing that you're happy with, or you just like, what am I really here for? Because, like, for me, when I get to those points and I'm depressed and I'm trying like this, like, that's all I see. That's all I feel. Like, no lie, I ain't been sober off the bottle in years. So now I got issues with my kidneys because, like, I'm not happy with myself. So instead of talking to somebody or even finding something within myself to just kind of pull me up out of that, I just resort to the bottle. Like, you know what I mean? But what if there's nothing that you can't find within yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like, I do poetry and I do this stuff, but at the end of the day, like, I be like, I actually had a conversation 2 weeks ago about giving it up completely because I don't want to do it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I like poetry a lot. I like cooking a lot, but I just don't feel like doing it anymore. Like, it's just, when I say doing it anymore, I don't feel like existing anymore. It takes so much effort to be this poet, Nefertiti the queen, or Nefertiti. It takes a lot to just be a chef. It takes a lot to do the things that, like, I have to do, and I still have to take care of my grandma because she dying too. My other grandma is passing away too. You know what I mean? So, like, what if you can't find nothing within yourself to be like, yo, this is why you're here or whatever? Because, like,
I don't have no answer to that. But I would say for me, what I have done in the past was I switched up the scene. Like, I got away. Like, I went to something that inspired me, whether it was me standing in front of a body of water, whether it was me actually going into nature, you know what I'm saying? And I know that sounds super cliche, but definitely changing the scene, not being in that room where you're always crying, not going to that kitchen where you're always cooking and feeling pressure, not standing stage when everyone is looking at you like, yo, you need to be the queen. Just physically taking yourself out of those spaces and putting yourself into another space.
I can only speak for me and my experiences. And I know like what helped me, like just going off of what you were saying earlier about like, I feel like you said it, but you didn't at the same time, because sometimes you do need things outside of you, right? But going back to what she was saying, is like, you have to find what you need inside of you. But you can get it outside of yourself as well, but only you know what can heal you, because only you've been through what you've been through. So it's important when you're feeling these things to like take a moment within yourself and dissect it. You right, you're not crazy. What are you then? Are you disappointed? Are you confused? What makes it exhausting to be this person? Is it because I gotta show up and talk to people? Is it because I have a time? Like, is it time? Like, you know, what is it that's making this thing so exhausting for me? And once you start addressing that, once you start highlighting those things, then you can find that balance outside of yourself sometimes. Okay, being the poet is not what's exhausting, but having to stay 30 minutes after the set and deal with 30 people that I don't know, that is exhausting. So maybe I need somebody on my team that can cover that for me. Maybe I need to be able to just show up, have my therapeutic moment, and leave, because that's what's healthy for me. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, I just challenge you, like, you know, as someone that has seen your poetry, as someone that follows you and has seen your talent, that like when you are feeling like that, like, you know, dissect those emotions, because you're not crazy. You know, you're not angry. What are you? You get what I'm saying? Are you tired, but what are you tired of? So, you know, when you are feeling some of these things and when it's safe for you to process it, because in the moment isn't always the time to process things. Sometimes you do need to put things in your pocket and go home to your safe place and dissect it. So whenever you have that time to like process things thoroughly and dissect it from multiple angles, not just one, like look at it 360 in your mind. You get what I'm saying? And you know, when you have that time and you can highlight, you know, your barriers, I feel like that sometimes that helps you move forward.
Can we go into actually defining, you know, each of us, if we can go around and like 1 or 2, 3 words define what you think crazy is, you know what I mean? Since we're saying you're not crazy, you're not this, what do you guys actually think crazy is? Your opinion. Jason, I'll start with you. What do you think crazy is?
Y'all wanna talk for real?
Yeah.
Y'all better tell them the coding device. Y'all wanna talk, crazy is everyone and everything. It's just based upon an interpretation and understanding of what people lack when they try to get an understanding of who you are based upon what they don't understand. So everybody here is crazy. Some people get paid to be crazy. I get paid to be crazy, but some people will say I'm talkative. But either way, professionally, I'm a consultant. So I can either be annoying to you, or I can be very valuable to you. But either way, I'm not gonna go based upon your interpretation of who you think I am, right? So at one point, you know, the space that I'm working on a regular basis is to get corporation to understand the diversity of the people that I get attached on a regular basis. Right? They're mute, they're silent. We want solutions, but they don't want to hear the problems, right? They say we want to increase our segments here, but they don't want to hear about the disconnect between me and my society seeing an opportunity and knowing that we'll never get that opportunity simply because of our name, simply because of something that's not even our own fault, right? We get blamed so much for things that are outside of our own control, right? So for me individually, I was the one that always forced to have to understand everybody else's perspectives. I ain't got time for all that. Because we're in a society where everybody's scrolling and swiping. Everybody wants information instantly. They want Siri, Alexa, or Google to answer everything for them within a matter of a second, right? And anything beyond that, God forbid you a paragraph in response, it's not a tweet. You know what I mean? So if we're really wanting to have authentic conversations, crazy is everyone. Some people get to sit in the White House and be crazy. Some people get to be investigated upon and be crazy. Either way, I think it's what makes us humane or human. You know what I mean? So if, for example, last year, I was one of the loudest people in the group as far as veterans and suicide. There's 22, 26 that commit every single day. You know what I hear around me? Crickets. Crickets. And I was one of the most, it was anxiety, but the corporate interpretation was passionate. Right? They're not going to define me. They can say whatever they want to say to me. But if theoretically I knew that it's going to be what, March tomorrow, or is it March today?
March.
So March tomorrow, right? Theoretically, there's will be family members going to my gravestone saying, how you doing, Dad? Haven't seen you in a little while. And they're gonna still make interpretations on what you define as crazy, even though I was supposed to be silent. So now that I'm not silent, I'm gonna be the loudest person there is, right? In defining what crazy really, really, really is. Is it because you don't understand what I'm saying?
But I always felt that though, like I always felt like my family just didn't understand me, but they didn't understand me because they did not know me. Like when I spent my entire life locked away from you. I didn't meet my family until I was like my sisters. I'm the youngest out of 13 kids. I didn't meet my sisters, my brothers, my grandma. I didn't meet them until I was like, what, 17? I was 17 years old. So by that time I was already institutionalized, right? I had already watched 2 of my best friends commit suicide. I had already tried myself twice to commit suicide. I had already been to a farm party before. I had already been throwing my own farm parties, right? So I'm already addicted to drugs before even knowing my family. I was a freshman in high school at 14. I was already addicted to cocaine and pills at the age of 14 because I didn't know how to talk about what I was going through. So when I talk to my family about it now, like, they still don't understand. They don't understand me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so.
Does anybody have any experience with explaining to their family about their mental health and like what were their reactions to it? So you've experienced depression, you don't want to get out of bed. You're normally the one to, you know, liven up the room when you walk in, and you just walk in like, oh, what's up guys? Guess we're gonna do this. Explaining to people that mental health is real, you know, that you deal with your own demons in your head every day and fighting them. Like you're fighting everybody else in this world and fighting everything in your own head. And you can't turn that off. That's something that people don't understand is that you can't turn off all the talking in your head.
And it's not restricted to any location, any geographic, any religion, any
Exactly.
background, any skin color, any upbringing.
And nobody knows what's gonna trigger you either.
Right.
Like something as simple as a smell. You know, we put candles on, incense. That might trigger somebody because they were, you know, assaulted while somebody was smoking or had some incense on. And we would never know that. And you know, sometimes they don't even know that. They don't know that they're being triggered. So I will digress. What is it, or have you ever experienced either, you know, disappointment by explaining this to your family members, whether or not you could do it? You know, that's a big thing, whether or not you're able to express your mental health to your family, and then what their reaction was. If you would like to share.
I feel like I should do this. I'm Monica.
Yes. It's my sister.
I have been in and out of counseling for a very long time, dealing with anger, dealing with anxiety, depression.
Anger is an umbrella emotion.
Right, so dealing with a lot of things. For me, I have tried to explain to my mother more so on the fact that I take medication. The fact that I take medication, the fact that I see a doctor, the fact that I wanted to continuously seek counseling outside of the Christian counseling because they always speak to a certain baseline that I felt they weren't actually hearing me, as opposed to trying to fix me to a certain standard, as opposed to actually seeing what my problem or my area of opportunity or growth actually is to make me a certain way, as opposed to understanding me and helping me to accept, so that I don't really care if others accept it, but at least let me accept it. So explaining it to my mom and the medicine aspect, she was more so, well, we're gonna pray about this. We're gonna pray about it, pray about it, pray about it. I don't wanna hear about medication. You know, I think that that's a mask for, she thinks that it's a mask for trying to really deal with issues, dealing with your emotions and talking it out. She feels like it's hiding. So that's what I did with my mom.
Did she have a conversation with you?
It's the same, it's basically the conversation right as, you know, this is something you can pray about. This is something you can see, you can talk to the pastor or the person that you know, you shouldn't have to take medication, you know, you talk through your problems, no one's judging you, no one's hurting you, there should be no reason. You have the thought in my husband and I, like, is we have everything, there's no reason for you not to be happy, there's no reason for you to feel lonely, there's no reason for you to feel, you know, crazy in the head, or to feel like you can't take pressure, or that you're depressed. Like, you have everything at your fingertips. Why? Well, you've also had a very hard life, so dealing with putting them on the back burner as opposed to putting them in the forefront, you start to seep into your life in other ways, so. She's gonna have to get in.
Yeah, but what if you all prayed out though? Like, what if you all
Can I tell you something about that?
prayed out?
Listen, I'm gonna be very careful, because she said something, and I was like, oh, you better not go that direction. Because my church infrastructure fractured last year. And when I say infrastructure, I was at a lot of times, a lot of her barriers of her even seeking any form of alternative solutions outside the laying on of the hands or the death and life and the power of the tongue perspective, right? And it wasn't until my infrastructure left me that I literally was like, and it feels like days, but it was only like a couple seconds, right? Where you flash back through your entire life and you say, you're like, and she didn't say anything. Not like she said, I told you was wrong about, like, she didn't say, that she had every right to, right? Come back and give me the 40 bullet points of everything that I told her was, what have you. But she knew at that time I was still falling. And still just trying to find my footing on where the hell am I landing? What is the ground for me at this point, right? At the same time, from a medical perspective, right? Everything that I said was contrary to what I believed or what I was told, I'm now doing, right? And now feeling as though I see the results or the response from medicines and certain things, right? And how can I deny that now my anxiety is decreasing? And now I'm seeing things more clear, right? Because we always put, well, I was the type that put a issue like Hollywood, 8 seconds, right? We saw that clip, right? That's how long the issue lasts. You see a whole movie, i.e. 40 Lives in 2 hours on HBO. But your issue, when you go to sleep and it's still an issue, and you wake up the next morning and it's still an issue, and there's no pause button, right, in the space. I literally took some medicine the other day that said that when your anxieties are reduced, you actually hear more clear from true voices versus the voices that you created, right? And you'd be surprised how much more peace. Well, I can't say that, I cannot endorse, nor can I promote, nor can I say to anyone to do anything from that perspective. I can just say for me to reduce the anxiety, to be able to be more open, which allowed, as Alicia saw, for me to be more acceptance or accepting of other perspectives on how to deal with situations.
And I would say something to what you just said, just the verbiage is what I want to ask you. So you said the word reduce when it comes to anxiety. Do you really think, and this is a question I'm asking to everyone, I'm asking to the room, do you really think that anxiety is reduced? I think anxiety is more, me in my opinion, I think anxiety is more control. You get a more control feel over your anxiety, you get a more control feel over your emotions, you get a more control feel over, the panics that come with your anxiety. I feel like it doesn't reduce itself because it's like she said, we were talking about triggers. When that trigger happens, you automatically go in that state. You don't just level up to a state of anxiety. Anxiety just comes, you know what I mean? So is it a reduced or is it like in a control factor?
Hello, Al. My opinion is that
Hi, Al.
Yeah.
my opinion is that you can prepare for things that cause you anxiety, and that would reduce the elevated levels. To chime in what someone else said not too long ago, I spoke to my mother about the depression I was going through, and on the phone she told me, "This is not my son. When my son is ready, tell him to call me back." So we hung up. The last time we ever had a conversation about that. Me knowing my mother, this has been my whole life. So I handle like I handle everything else. But after being offered, mental health the last 15 years being a veteran, I finally started going to it. And I was never a believer in mental health. I never believed in anxiety. My wife is in mental health. And so ironically enough, I was like, yeah, the feelings aren't real. I came from this world, and what I do realize is that, feelings have a place. I do believe that we do have a responsibility though. I can't let my feelings drive the car. I can't let my feelings control my life. And if I know things trigger me, I work on mitigating those factors, like I said, reduce, so that when it does hit me, I'm in anxiety can hit you from one point. And if you reduce all the other factors, you can handle that. Or what I realized is that I was overwhelmed. I had some social issues, I had some financial issues, I had a business that if if I didn't look like I was making a lot of money, it affected my business, I wasn't happy, it affected my business, but when I wasn't making money, what I was supposed to do, couldn't tell my wife, I said, don't check that mail, I'm gonna take care of it, and meanwhile, it's bill collectors. And all these factors came overwhelming me, and I couldn't even, you said something you couldn't see, you couldn't see clearly.
Right.
But once I started, I have a back issue, once I started mitigating some pain, then that allowed me to see clearly. And I was able to take less medication and stuff like that, so I was able to see clearly.
Yeah.
And I was able to address certain other issues, then I was able to see clearly. So when something hits me now, it's not overwhelming.
Yeah.
Now it's, okay, I can handle that thing because it's just this one thing, it's not this big monster. I'm not a professional.
To piggyback off of what POC was saying, like, I do think it's kind of like a control issue because, I think, we as people want something that we can control. And I remember being in counseling on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and they were trying to figure out why I cut myself so much, why I hurt myself so much. And I didn't know how to explain it, but the older I got, like, I had a conversation about it last week because it's been a little over a year since I cut myself, and I am so proud of myself. I am genuinely but for me, that was the only thing that I can control. That's the only pain that I can control, right? So I couldn't control losing my parents or growing up without parents. I couldn't control being moved from one home to the next. I couldn't control people treating me like crap and bullying me throughout my life. I couldn't really control that. But that pain was something that I can control. So I feel like sometimes that's all we want, that's all we need is a little bit of control, right? So when we have anxiety, like when I was 17 and I was dealing with anxiety, they would prescribe me Xanax. And that was something that kind of like just brought me down a peg. Like it calmed me down like a lot. But getting out, stopping my medication or not being able to get Xanax specifically, I was like just buying it off the street. And that took it to a different level where I was just overusing it instead of trying to find other ways to just deal with my anxiety or handle that in a proper way. But like to answer Alicia's question, I have tried to talk to my family about my depression and the things that like I go through. And it's really interesting because I don't really tell people a lot about my life because people will be like, damn, my God, you went through all of that. Like, yo, you went through all of that. Like, it can't be real. But I remember calling my sister and telling her, like, yo, I'm not going to school today. Because she had already left for work. I wasn't going to school. And she wanted to know why I wasn't going to school. I was like, I'm not going. But my niece told her that I was sexually assaulted by a family member the night before. Because my niece was the only person that I told. I called my niece and I told her, because my niece and I are the same age. I told her what happened. And she told me to lock myself in my room. And so that's what I did. But now I'm 30 and I still see this guy at every family function, every barbecue, every freaking luau that we have. He's there, right? Graduations and things like that. And when I tried to talk to my family about it, they was like, no BS. My cousin was like, yo, I don't believe you enough. Like, you lying, yo. I don't think Leroy would do that to you, yo. But we already knew the type of man that Leroy was. We already saw the way he would, my older cousins, my cousins that were like a lot, thick or whatever, he would grip them by the butt and just, say little things to them when giving them a hug. Like, so we already knew the type of man that he was. So for y'all to even say to me, oh no, I don't believe that, like, that's not true, that didn't happen to you, that kind of like messed me up to the point where I'm like, I don't even want to talk about it, right? So when they ask me why I feel so small, so inadequate around men, or why I am the way I am, it's like, I don't know, you figure it out, right? But I've already tried to talk to my family about it, and they just like shut it down, you know what I mean? So it's hard to talk to them about depression and anxiety and all of that jazz. Like, it's hard to talk to them about it, because you guys contributed to it, and y'all don't wanna hear that y'all contributed to it, like, so, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. I'm gonna get out of this bomb ass chair though.
Get up, somebody's gonna take it.
I see that.
I just wanted to reintroduce, because a lot of people came in after we did the introduction. So this is Taboo, guys. Thank you so much for coming out. We have quite a few people that would like to share their stories. But we also have a space for you to share your story as well. You can either
I'm getting about the share, so whoever wants to share, y'all better hop in this joint.
our sharing chair up there.
That
We
joint
do
funky
have
as
a
hell, too.
microphone. be careful when you sit down, you won't feel like you're going to the floor, but it's not, it's okay. It's gonna catch you. I am Alicia, Exhibit A. This is all, my artwork up here. Myself, POC, Harmony the Goddess. We have Crystal Alchemy, Miss Divine, who also has her own, sweet treats. Introspective, we have, just walked in. Also, I'm gonna say it wrong, Aji, okay. Aji, to share as well, Nefertiti the Queen. I could introduce everybody, because you guys are all my peoples. I really appreciate it if you would introduce yourself as well. Coming from the front here, Mr. Montgomery.
Jay, it's my wife, Monica.
Al?
Melanie.
Oh, I'm Layla.
Aside. Yes, I do.
So I'm about to give y'all 3 names. I don't know why I give them well. Alright. My actual name is Edward. Everybody calls me Trey. But my stage name is Introspective Support.
Okay.
Feeling like right now. Cause I ain't gonna call you all 3.
So you're my man.
And this is my lady.
Nice to meet you guys. And just a reintroduction of the space. So when you come in, you have the wonderful crystals and jewelry by Crystal Alchemy. Crystals can have those healing powers and also give you just a little bit of tactile things to kind of make you calm down, you know, when you're anxious or what have you, and they're pretty, like all of their jewelry is amazing. So we have the healing crystals over there, and also in order for us to be healthy in our mind, we need to be healthy in our body as well. So we have some fruits and vegetables here, some water. I do have tea, if anybody wanted some tea. Chocolate covered strawberries and pretzels. On this wall here, we have some positive things that you can take with you. I literally wanted you to take some, but we didn't get to that point. So you're going to take it in your mind with you, how to do it. Normal. Is there anything that is normal? What is normal to you? Write your section or your word or phrase of what normal is, whether you think it is or not, and take a selfie. If you do take a selfie and post it on Instagram, please use the hashtag #TalkTaboo. In this wonderful corner here, we have the massages by the lovely Harmony the Goddess. Not only do you get a massage, but she does a full healing consultation. So it is an experience in this corner. She's also accepting love donations, and she does affirmations as well. So take something with you, put something down. And if you do it over there, you can also do it in the corner. Over here we have our craft table. We have coloring pages. These are different coping skills that you can utilize when you are feeling down, when you're feeling stressed out. Using the Zen tray, we have a little sand tray. You can use a little rake. I know you guys have seen this before. Use to make little circles, put the rocks places. There's a little bridge in there. I always thought that was kind of cool, but I'm also weird, so. In addition to that, we have letters, blank letters there. The theme behind that, I actually did not talk to my granny for a year after she had a stroke. It was my own personal challenges that I had that I didn't talk to her, so I know that I spoke earlier to Nefertiti about that, but it was my own crap that I didn't want to let go. I felt uncomfortable with talking to her, and just recently, last week, I called, and I didn't get the response that I wanted, but I got a response, and I think that was enough for me to kind of just be okay with it and see that it's my own crap that I have to deal with. And just that self-reflection was a lot, and a lot of weight off. So the letters are there for you to be able to write something that is holding you down, holding you back, something you want to get off your chest, maybe something you wanted to say to somebody that you didn't over the course of time in your life. Thank you cards as well. Something that, you wouldn't necessarily say thank you for. Like, thank you for breaking we all have negative vices that we use to get over certain situations. Smoking was one of mine. The do not disturb was my insomnia. I have really bad insomnia, not being able to sleep for long periods of time. Always seeing 4 o'clock. That is not fun. And then also, of course, the flag. Supporting who I am on the inside and on the outside, because that was something that I was not able to express when I was younger. In addition to my artwork throughout the room, you'll see different taboo signs. These are submissions by people that saw taboo and felt moved to say something. And we have quite a few people that shared in this room, who will also share out loud in this room, maybe soon, yes. But I would like for everybody to kind of go around and read these submissions to see if you identify with them, or maybe that reflection will make you think about something else that you didn't think of outside of this space. But yeah, that is about it.
So this will be the time that we would encourage you guys to
Yeah.
take a look around and walk
Take a look around,
and
move
then we're
around.
gonna get back to sharing.
let me do the raffle.
Oh, wait.
You can wear glasses.
It's dark outside.
I thought about that after I gave them to her. I'm sorry. I didn't think about it. We got one more? Thank you.
Put your toys in your pocket, secure your items.
Alright, for our first raffle, we have our purposeful paws Epsom salt soap. I know, it's so exciting, isn't it? Thank you so much, because nobody else responded. Alright, CJ, since you were so excited, I want you to pick it. You pick one? I'll get you to pick one. Pick one.
It's a pink one.
No, just pull one out. Got it? Get in there. Get in there. Got it? Let's see. Riley.
Right.
It's rigged.
You didn't know. So.
It's like, I got
You were like, I gotta go collect this name and not throw my name in here. Said everybody.
Who's that? Aki. Yay! That's sauce.
He's like, I want it.
My camera. Can you just hold up the? Oh, thank you.
Wow. Meanwhile, I'm gonna be like this. Yeah, right. I thought it was an iPhone.
Right, it's like.
Yeah, just a
Alright, one more. Jocelyn.
It's not cheating. She's not.
Like that.
Tariq. We got. What you got? Ah, there it is.
No.
What do you want? Either you can have the Epsom salt.
He's like, oh, what happened? Look at that. Somebody look at that. She said, I would your name like a double the capability for me to win the Epsom salt.
You can have a double
No. You just pick out a bag and fall out the next. You didn't win anything. You won the opportunity to be out here. Because you could have been in there. That's what you want. You gotta be, you gotta be right there with them nowadays. Like, no, you know what you want? Me not paying for the babysit tonight. You can't with me. They already
oh,
did it.
yes, look at that.
Yeah, see, made a mess.
You are. I love it. express themselves like they intended to.
And where are your trees?
Alright, you guys, we are going to have our open expression, open mic